Hello there, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I'm your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now firstly, welcome to a beautiful morning here in southern England. Excuse the fact I'm wearing sunglasses because it is so bright I wouldn't be able to look at the camera if I didn't. And today I'm going to answer a question from a viewer on shoe care, but in particular the building of patina on one's shoes, which in many cases is perceived as a positive thing, but not for everybody, because some of us like to retain our footwear in as factory-like condition as possible. And such is the case with one of my viewers called Pete. Also goes by the name of Nina, and he is one of my esteemed patrons as well, so I'm delighted to answer this question. And Pete has asked me, or tells us really, that after many months of saving, he is now the proud owner of a pair of Chini loafers. Superb choice. In a beautiful brown museum calf leather, marbled and beautiful in appearance. And I have seen these shoes myself in the flesh in the Chini factory very recently. They are fantastic, I have to say. Now, as per the leather guide for these videos, I believe that one can manipulate the colour of the shoe over time. However, I think I'm only interested in maintaining the current light and dark tones, because it is true these shoes do have a very marbled effect, I think it's referred as, but it's like clouds of different colour going through the leather, and it is exquisite in the flesh. Good to see in these images, but very, very beautiful shoes. According to the company's leather aftercare section, I should be using Gold Metal Tobacco 34, which is a polish provided by Chini. Here's the issue. I can't order this polish from the company as I'm in the United States and I'm unsure what to substitute for the espresso polish colour. Should I simply use Saphir dark brown polish? Should I be bold and incorporate another tone? Please advise. Well, it's a really good question, Pete, because absolutely every time you own a pair of shoes, once you start adding product to the leather, it's going to change the appearance of the leather. It's a natural thing, all right, because the leather, it's porous. This is one of the reasons why we use leather on our shoes. It allows the sort of perspiration to dissipate, and it's flexible, it's hardy, tough wearing. That's why we choose leather as our footwear choice. As a consequence of that, because of its porous nature, because remember the donor animal which supplied us with that leather, it was, it's a skin in essence. It's going to allow the passage of things into it, right? It's going to take on different colour as time goes on. Now, I understand what you're saying. These shoes you've purchased, they are absolutely beautiful, and I love that colour, that finish on the leather myself. I don't own a pair like that, but I would be delighted to do so. And you're a very lucky man, because I know the loafers that you're talking about, they retail for around about 600 British pounds, and I think it's called the Saxon Penny Loafer, which has a sort of bronzed espresso colour, and in my mind, it is one of the most beautiful colours that Chini do in any of their shoes, because I can imagine wearing that with pretty much anything. You know, I'm wearing a pair of pink chinos today. It's not a choice that would suit every man, as my stool falls over, but choosing shoe colour is challenging with them, because, you know, a light brown, as I have here, or medium brown, doesn't necessarily sit well. But that colour you've got, because of those clouds of darker sort of tones going throughout the shoe, it makes it much more flexible and versatile as a colour choice with your clothing. So, great choice. And I know those shoes are very well put together too. You've got oak bark tanned soles on there, you know, and that is the very epitome. Hear these birds, they're going nuts. It's morning time, so they're still enjoying the first flushes of the day. So the oak bark tanned leather soles, it takes a full year to tan the leather in vats, which has got liquid and oak bark in it, to give that sort of tough robustness to those leather soles, which are the very best of any shoes that you will encounter. Talking about the soles, you know, they've got hidden channel stitching where they sort of peel up a flap of the sole, they'll do the stitching, the Goodyear welt, then they'll stick that flap down and it's invisible to look at. It's chic, sleek and beautiful. And the fiddle waist is also present on these loafers, which gives them, you know, that elegant shape and the aesthetic which sings high quality to me. So I know you want to get these shoes right, and you want to get them that look just perfect for you. What I would suggest, if you want to retain as close to a factory finish as possible, I wouldn't use any coloured materials on them at all, right, or products. I would simply, if you can get away with it, right, if you're going to be a light wearer of these shoes, you're not going to be wearing them perhaps in rough and tough environs, I would suggest Saphir Renovator. Now this is quite a light, it's deemed as a renovation polish. That's its sort of, reconditioning polish or product. This is how it's sort of sold. But actually, it also works very well as a daily maintenance product for your shoes. I say daily, it could be weekly, fortnightly, however often you need to apply it. But Saphir Renovator is very light, it's got no colour to it, and it's made up of various waxes and oils which are beneficial to the leather of the shoe. They penetrate the shoe, they moisturise, and they nourish that leather. And the beauty of it is, they don't impart any colour. Now obviously as you apply any product, it is ever going to slightly darken the material. If you had a very light brown, like a walnut brown pair of shoes, and you applied Renovator, it is going to darken ever so slightly. But on a product like we're talking about here, you know, your brown loafers, essentially what they are, taking aside the finish on them, it's not going to have any appreciable difference to the look on those shoes. So just using Renovator, it's going to keep them looking quite factory fresh. And whilst there are oils and waxes within there, when you apply the brush to it, so you put it on as you would a normal polish and then brush it off, it's still going to bring a luster to the shoes, right? It's not going to give a high shine, nothing like that, but it's going to have a luster. It's going to keep it looking factory finish. Now, if you are living somewhere perhaps where you're encountering dampness and wet regularly, the Renovator is probably going to be fine. However, if you want to go one step further and add another layer of protection to your shoes, you could use a sort of standard shoe cream. Now, I'm going to stick with the Saphir brand because it is renowned as being the best brand of shoe care products. But Saphir do a shoe cream range called Pomadier, and they do a neutral within that range. Now again, a bit like the Renovator, the neutral is going to nourish, it's going to protect, it's got lots of waxes on there, canuba wax, things like that, and oils. It's like a beefed up version of the Renovator in essence, but it adds another layer of protection because when you apply the brush, you get a slightly better luster, and that will achieve a higher level of protection for your shoes. And if you want to go nuts and fully protect them, get a full wax shell over the top of them, then you can go, and I'm staying with Saphir, I'm not endorsed by them, but they do make the best shoe care products in my experience. I would go for their Pat Deluxe, so which is their hard wax polish. There's different layers of quality within the Saphir range, but their Pat Deluxe, their top end one, that's very high quality. It's going to give you the protection that you need. Apply that, just take it off with the brush. It shouldn't appreciably darken the appearance of those shoes, but it will give you a wax coating over the top. So if you're in an environment where it is wet quite often, that may be a better option to go. Apply the polishes only when you need to. If you want to keep that shoe looking as close to its factory finish, stick with the application of polish only when necessary. I know a lot of people get overzealous, and every time they wear a pair of their shoes, and I understand it, we all love looking after our footwear, making it look its best, and there's a sense that when you take them off, I'm going to put another layer of polish over them. Well, if you do that, you're going to escalate that patinaing process, the patination, so your shoe will alter in its appearance much quicker. So in summary, if you can get away with it, just use Saphir Renovator as a daily maintenance product. If you want to go one step further and occasionally give them a deeper sort of protection, use Saphir Pomadier in neutral colour. And then every so often, maybe in the winter time, if you're exposed to the rain, go for Saphir Pat Deluxe hard wax polish, and that will give a little wax shell, little overcoat over the shoe to protect it. Now, if you do at some point choose to go on that patina journey with your shoes, but you want to keep them as close to their natural appearance as possible, the thing to remember is if you choose a colour from, say for instance, the shoe cream range, which Saphir do, the Pomadier range, there's quite a lot of colour within that Patina product. So when you apply it to shoes, if you apply a darker colour, it will darken the appearance of your shoes. So if you want to keep them as close to the factory finish as possible, use a lighter shade from the range. All right? That way it's not going to change it too much, but it will afford you maximum protection. And again, use the wax polish in the same ideology. A shade lighter than the actual shoe itself, and it shouldn't darken it too quickly. Now the thing to remember is as well, that when you're applying polishes and creams, all they're doing is applying a surface element of colour to the shoes. It's not changing the original finish. The colour that you see on your shoe has been dyed in using an alcohol-based dye at the factory. It's set in the shoe. Whatever you do, it's unlikely to change that. So applying creams and wax polishes, only a surface finish is changing. Every so often, if you want to, if you don't like what's looking back at you, you can take it back to its original finish by using various products which are available out there. And there's one in particular which is created by Saphir, again called Renomat, and this is a cleansing agent. It's a cutting agent. It'll take away the polish. You just really apply it using a cloth, and it'll take off all of the layers off the top of those shoes, and it'll take you back to as close to the factory finish as you can get. There's still going to be some darkening because leather, it's a natural product. It changes over the course of time. We have to accept that, but you can take it back. Now this pair of shoes I have on the table here, this is a pair of Loke Birkdale shoes. No, they're not. They're Loke Cadogan's, and their history with me, I bought them from eBay, brand new, but they were factory seconds, and I think I paid something like £90 for them when their their retail price was around about 250, 260, so I got a really good deal on them. I've had them for about 5 or 6 years now, and as you can see, they're a sort of mid-brown. And what I did with these, I wanted to darken them somewhat because I was into the burnishing and the patinaing sort of mindset at that time. So I applied a Saphir dark brown colour to these shoes. Not every time I sort of applied Pomadier shoe cream. I did it every other time, and before you knew it, they had taken on a much darker appearance. And after a while I got fed up with it. So I used Saphir Renomat, took them right back down to their original finish, and that's how they look now, back to as close to possible their original factory appearance. So even if you do go on a journey with your shoes with patination, and at some point in the future you fall out of love with that colour, don't worry, just buy yourself some Renomat, take it back to the finish and start again. It's easily achieved, there's no need to worry. So there you go, Pete. I hope that's been helpful for you. And always remember, I know that you said here that you were unable to purchase the Chini brand polish because you're living in the United States. Something to remember about these manufacturers which also produce polishes, they don't produce polishes. They purchase in polish from polish creation brands, and they badge them as their own material. So I know, for instance, I think it's Chini use Saphir products. So they buy Saphir polish, they put the Chini sticker on it, they sell it as Chini. So if you're buying Saphir, you're actually buying the same product that you would be buying if you bought it from Chini anyway. Some brands use different sort of polish manufacturers and stick their own labels on it, but if I'm right, and I remember going into the Chini boutique on German Street a few years ago, and I bought some polish because I had a pair of Chini checker boots at the time. I remember speaking to the cashier in there and they said, "This is Saphir, don't worry, it's the very best product you can possibly get." So from the horse's mouth, from a representative of the Chini company, they did tell me that their products are actually Saphir. So I hope you'll find that useful if it comes to buying polish which is available in your orbit rather than a polish which is outside your reach. So there we go. Hope you found that useful. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Pete, enjoy those shoes. They're going to be fantastic for decades if you look after them right. If you have enjoyed the video, of course, you can leave a comment in the comment section below. You can support the channel by buying us a coffee or even becoming a patron. And my patrons get additional material videos over at my Patreon site. The links to how to get there are in the show notes below. So until the next time, take care, wear your shoes shiny and with great pride and passion. And I will see you again very soon.